All right, you've already seen the new revamped 417 from us. Today we're going to be taking a look at the revamped 414ce and 412ce from Taylor Guitars. Stay tuned. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name's Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas, and you can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and like our videos. If you'd like to support the channel, visit our spring store link below for custom swag and check out our podcast, the Fretboard Confessional, wherever you get your podcasts. And I had promised that a new episode was coming, and it's out. So that new episode's there, and we'll be recording some more. So
see you in 6 months.
Yeah. Hopefully not, but for everyone who was waiting for that, thank you for your patience, and we hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments here, because you can't comment on podcasts in any way that I've been able to see so far. Anyway, so new Taylor Guitars, revamped 400 series. We already did the 417, which was exciting because that's an entirely new body shape for the series. Having the Grand Pacific at that price point in the series with rosewood. It's a very cool guitar, and it shows a lot of just kind of what's been revamped. They've done the same thing with the Grand Auditorium, the 414ce in the lineup, and the 412ce that we have here. We're going to tell you a little bit about some of the changes and, of course, play them for your ear's delight. I've got the 414ce. I remarked to Cooper, it reminds me of the Taylor guitar in The Last of Us Part 2. By the way, if you didn't know that, little interesting story, The Last of Us show's been like super popular. In the sequel of the video game, I have no idea who at Taylor was responsible for this or how it happened, but kudos. But there's a Taylor guitar in the game that the main characters are playing. You actually play it as a character, which I thought was cool, and it's kind of there throughout. And it is a Sunburst Grand Auditorium guitar. So
they kind of, do you see in the show that they kind of teased a little bit, like getting the guitar out?
Yeah.
If I'm sure Taylor has thought of this, if they're not jumping on getting a Taylor guitar in season 2 of that show,
yeah,
they have to.
I'm sure, and again, I don't know any of the background. What I do know about the show and the video game is there's a lot that came out about from the creators and the voice actors of the video games, and the guy who was the voice actor for Joel sings. Maybe he's a Taylor guitar fan, and that's how it ended up there. I have no idea, but it was very cool to see it in the game, and I walked in, I'm like, yeah, you know what? It kind of looks like this, so here you go. If you're wanting a Last of Us Part 2 guitar, the 414ce with the new Sunburst top kind of fits the bill. So it is the 414ce that we've come to know and love. Previously, it was the 414ce-R, and they've dropped the R, haven't they? No, it still says R on the label, but I think on their website they've kind of dropped the R because it was an option. You could go with Ovenkal back and sides or rosewood back and sides, and I think people who wanted rosewood won out. So you've got your typical Grand Auditorium shape, which is like your Swiss Army knife, your Dual acoustic guitar. Beautiful burst top. It's a tobacco sunburst, and trimmed with bright white binding with the rosewood. Suits it very well. A Goya shell rosette, and then my favorite, Italian acrylic, for the inlay. And it's a new inlay design. It's called Finial.
Finial, yeah.
Finial. So that's what's going up and down the very dark ebony fingerboard in this particular case, and up on the headstock. It's just a great looking guitar. And then you've got the 412.
Yeah, I got the little brother version, but not little in terms of tone.
Oh, there you go.
But again, it's your 412ce-R. Main changes are what Chris just pointed out, tobacco sunburst. The bright white's been on, it was on the previous one, but it does make that look nice. And I've heard a lot of people mention before that they would like black, because people like the black on 314, but it doesn't really work as well because the mahogany or something, black pairs better with lighter woods. White, this is kind of the point here, is to frame the rosewood.
And I really like it with the sunburst.
Yeah.
No, it actually really works well.
And then the finial inlay. The 417 we talked about being the new edition. Everybody likes these guitars already.
Yeah.
They've been extremely popular. I think whenever I mention the go-tos with Taylor, I always throw out 314 and 814. But especially recently, I've just seen many people just want 414 or 412, but they just want spruce rosewood, pretty stripped down, nothing too fancy. But this is like as good as it gets, when you're comparing other things in the price range. And for an all solid wood, gloss finish, American made guitar, this is really the entry, because 314, that's got satin on the back and
Right.
sides. However, I did want to mention, because I like the Tobacco Sunburst, I think it sets these guitars apart, because it's the same wood pairing as 814
Yep.
and 914, but you can still get a natural top on these, which don't be upset if you really have been saving up, you really wanted the natural. You can still get it. We'll just have to order it for you.
Yep.
They come standard like this, but you get the natural. You're fine.
I really like the look. I think the Sunbursts are going to be very popular with people.
Yeah.
And it does a few things, and before I go there, we should talk about some of the differences between these guitars, which is the difference between all grand auditoriums and grand concerts. So this is, of course, a bigger bodied guitar. It's effectively the same size as a Dreadnought with a tighter waist, giving you a lot of nice chime on the highs, able to handle good strumming as well as finger picking. It sits lower in your lap, so it feels like a smaller guitar, even though it's roughly the same width at the lower bout as a Dreadnought. Same thickness. This is not as deep. It's a smaller overall guitar. It also has a smaller scale length. So this is 24 3/4 inch scale length, whereas this is about 25.5 inch scale length. And so the strings feel a little looser, a little slinkier. It's got a warmer tone to it because of that shorter scale length. And it handles light strumming and picking and everything with aplomb. But what's always interesting about grand concerts and just any smaller body guitar that I love to emphasize is that it's a louder guitar with a lighter touch. So if you play lightly, a smaller guitar is louder than a bigger guitar for you. So it doesn't have the volume ceiling as a big bodied guitar would, but if you're not chopping wood or really going to town on the guitar, that would probably serve you better.
Yep.
So, and the shorter scale length is really nice. I think Chet Atkins talked about switching to a shorter scale length actually elongated his career over time. Maybe I'm starting to reach that age where I should start switching over to shorter scale length guitars. But one of the things that the changes to this series do is it realigns some things both from a tone wood standpoint and a visual standpoint in Taylor's lineup. Because you think about it, you have the 300 series, which you can either go with lighter, brighter woods, with the spruce and sapele, or you can go with the darker tones with the mahogany and whatnot. Then you go to the 400 series now, which is your classic tone wood pairing.
Yeah.
It's spruce and rosewood. And it is now, because of the changes with the 700 series, outside of the Builder's Edition 717, this is really the more affordable version of an 814.
Yeah.
You don't get the armrest, radius armrest bevel thing. You different inlay, different binding, all of that stuff. But it is a classic grand auditorium spruce and rosewood pairing. Same thing with that.
Yeah.
It's like a more affordable version of what you'd find on an 812.
Yeah.
Now when you go to a 512 or a 514, visual aesthetics are different. The tonal changes are different. It's all kind of reshuffled in a way as you go now from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, for sure. They're all a different sound. They're making it easier on people to distinguish between them, because like you said, 7, 8, 9, yes, it was different top on the 7 and all that, but there's so much. It was lutes, right?
There was lutes on the top, but you could get a rosewood just a few years ago on a 4, 7, 8, or 9.
Yeah.
So there were 4 different series of guitars that all had rosewood back and sides on them.
Yeah. I think we're due for a love letter to mahogany soon.
I think so.
That's what I'm missing, because 500 series is now very cool, but it was always cool,
You're right.
So
when they made the change, I did kind of go, what are you gonna do with mahogany now? So
let's go. But like Chris said, they both respond to different playing styles. However, it would not be a good comparison if I wasn't playing the same exact thing on both. So we're gonna start with the strumming and with the finger picking on both of these. And it's very obvious to me what each one is better for, but they're both good for everything, but finger picking shines.
Well, don't take his word for it.
Hear about it.
Listen for yourself. Check it out. All right, so there you have it. So you hopefully you didn't take our words for it. You listen to yourself, but now you can take our words for it. There's something really special about the grand concert. The shorter scale length. I don't remember when they did that switch, but I'm really glad they did. When they made that switch and said, we're going to make these with a shorter scale length, it really did something that was very complimentary to the guitar, because shorter scale lengths lead to a warmer overall tone, in addition to the lighter action and the slightly closer together frets, which I've said this story a long time ago, but the minute I got a shorter scale length guitar in my collection, there was like a chord shape for a finger picked melody that was really difficult for me to do, because it was stretching weird forms over like 4 frets. And the minute that I did a shorter scale length, I'm like, I can reach it now. It's just those fractions of an inch make a difference.
Yeah. It's cool. It's weird how slight changes like that like kind of unlock something. I played the 414 first in the demos, and then went to that, and especially when it switched to the finger picking part, it just like it snaps a little bit more. Like, you know, it puts emphasis on different. It's hard to describe. On this one, when I was doing the finger picking, it's almost like I was trying really hard to get back up to the volume that I was at with the picking on the 414. But over here, it was a much smoother transition because it's a little tighter in there, and you know, for me, when I'm playing, a lot of times I'll tuck the pick, go back to finger picking, and then when it's chorus time, you know, go back into it. There's a little less of a crazy dynamic shift on this one. And they're both really cool. I think for me, I would have a hard time picking between Grand Concert and Grand Auditorium, because there are so many different ways that I like to play, but I'm leaning towards the 412. I don't know.
Well, and you nailed it, why the Grand Auditorium's been Taylor's most popular body shape since it was introduced, I think all the way back in 1994. And that is that it is extremely versatile. And so, you know, if you're picking a body shape and you're going to do a bunch of different stuff with it, it makes sense to do that. Or if you're not sure where you might emphasize your playing, it makes sense to go with something, you know, that can kind of do everything very, very well. But, you know, one of the things that I think a lot of people maybe lose sight of or aren't necessarily aware of is when we talk about the Grand Concert, which is effectively outside of the GT, it's the smallest full-size guitar in Taylor's body shape lineup. It's the same size as an OM, effectively. I mean, the lines are a little different, but the depth of this guitar and the size of the guitar is on par with a triple O or an OM from Martin. Yeah. And people, yourself included, don't seem to have a problem going, that's perfectly fine for me and for everything I'm going to do. And so it's an interesting dilemma that because this is a little different and a little bit bigger, we go, oh, I'll get that instead. Yeah. But this guitar really shines, and I have a feeling that the 412 in this, you know, version with this beautiful top and everything is going to see some renewed interest. Yeah. I think it should anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I always, when I'm talking to somebody in the store, if they're playing an 814 and they want a comparison into another brand, I always point towards like a D28 instead of like a 0028, right? Because it's like, think of this in the vein of all your famous dreadnoughts. Yes, they make the great dreadnoughts, 417, but this is really more that, just a comfortable version, you know? Right. And then people see this as like, oh, that's single O or double O, but not really, you know? Right,
it's bigger than that.
It's the lines that make people think that, but this is more akin to the dreadnought that's closer to the triple O.
And some people that have discovered the joys of the Grand Concert, it's like, you know, once you go there, you're not going back. Good friend of ours, Manny, he's like, okay, it's like Grand Concerts and 12 frets for me from here on out. Yeah. You know, really likes them. So, you know, anyways, your mileage may vary, but be sure to check out both body shapes, and particularly for what you play. If you play with a lighter touch, finger picking, or a really light strum, then this guitar will probably suit you better. But both are great, and I really like the new inlay, and I really like the sunburst top.
Yeah. So sharp looking guitar.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want more information about these guitars, including the 417E that's new to the lineup, you want to go to our website, which is
alamomusic.com.
He's right there with it today. And we've got photos there. We've got associates you can chat with directly on the site and get all of the information you need to help you find the best guitar. Because I always say the best guitar in the world is
tobacco sunburst top.
That's it. That's
Thank
what
you
I
so
always
much.
say
Yeah.
every video. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, you turn on notifications, and you like our videos and keep coming back for more. We'll see you next time.